Hello everybody. Today we're going to talk about this German helmet that was submitted by a viewer and for which it was possible to make very successful research. So this is a German helmet that was found, as collectors say, out of the woodwork. So that means from a non-collector source, like an old house, a family or something like that, in the region of Epinal, which is in northern France, as you can see here. So this is what the helmet looked like when it was found. So you can see it's something that's been lying around for years and years and is full of dust and spider webs and stuff, just the way that collectors love to find things. And after cleaning, this is what the helmet looks like. So what we see here is that this is a pre-war model 1935 German helmet. And originally it would have had this shiny green paint and decals on both sides. And on the helmet that was found, the helmet has been repainted in thick granular paint for camouflage purposes, and the decal has also been covered over. On the right side, it's the same thing. The helmet has been repainted, but you can still faintly see the decal under the paint. And then on the front of the helmet, you can see remains of a very badly done swastika. That's surely something that was done by the French at some point, because they probably used this helmet as a trophy, either in 1940 or 1944. So they painted this swastika on it, and then we're probably using it for some kind of victory parade or as a trophy on a vehicle, as we can often see in period photographs. Now let's get to the interesting part, the inside of the helmet. So what you can see here is that in the back of the helmet there's a name painted, W. Katzorek. And also interesting, you can see that the inside of the helmet has been repainted with that camouflage paint, but when they repainted it, they did not cover up the name, which shows that it probably still belonged at that point to the guy called W. Katzorek. Then the collector looked more closely at the leather and he saw these strange threads sticking out, so he looked underneath, and that's where he found the jackpot, the guy's full name and his unit. So people always ask me for help to research names, and most of the time it's simply not possible, because you'll have a common name, let's say Hoffman. There are thousands of guys with that name in the German army, so there's thousands of files to look through, and no way to know if it's really his helmet or not. But here we have something that's going to be researchable, because Katzorek is a rare name, plus we have his first name, and plus we have his unit. So what that means is that the archives, where each soldier's file is classified according to family name, and date of birth, there's just going to be a few cards for guys called Walter Katzorek, and you can just quickly look at those cards, at those files, and look for who was in Infantry Regiment 86. So to summarize about this helmet, it's an early war or pre-war model of helmet, model 1935. It's been repainted with one single color of granular paint, and it has a name tag inside. And all this is rather typical of an early war helmet, not of a late war helmet. So my impression, considering where this helmet was found in northern France and considering what we see on it, is that it's probably a helmet that was lost during the 1940 French campaign. Now to get to the proper research, so I asked a researcher in Berlin to go to the Bundesarchiv Abteilung PA, where all the soldiers' files are preserved, and to look up Walter Katzorek, who is from Infantry Regiment 86. And sure enough, the researcher didn't have any difficulties finding the right soldier. So this is his file. So you can see he was born in 1916, actually in Belgium. His address, or the address of his parents, is in Nordhausen, so in Germany. In June 1940, he was in the 7th Company of Schützen Regiment 86, so that's the same unit as the one written inside the helmet. And this Infantry Regiment 86 was involved in 1940 in the Campaign of France as part of the 10th Panzer Division. And then what does the file say? It shows that on May 15, 1940, Walter Katzorek was wounded by bullets to the throat, shoulder, and back and brought to the field hospital in Bertrix. So this is pretty far from Epinal, where the helmet was found, but the only history with the helmet is that it was found in the family where the father liked to collect stuff that he had found in flea markets, so who knows exactly where he found it. And then the other thing is that the helmet was used as a trophy at some point, so who knows, I mean, how it got transported from Bertrix to Epinal. So after this gunshot injury, the soldier obviously went back to his unit, since then we see that in October 1941, he was wounded by artillery fragments to the one thigh. And then in 1943, he was wounded again by fragments to the lung, to the hand, to the right upper arm, and to the right shoulder, so multiple wounds. And then that's all the information that we have on his card. So this is very typical for World War II German files. Basically, as long as the guys weren't killed or very severely wounded, they were just sent back and back to the front. So when you see a veteran's file, this is always what it looks like wounded 1, 2, 3 times, 4 times, and then until he finally gets killed or gets amputated or something. Now the next step I'm interested in is to try to find this soldier's family and maybe find a letter he wrote home when he was wounded, or maybe find a picture of him. So I sent a letter to his former address in Germany, to the town hall, and I was very quickly put in contact with the soldier's daughter. And this is the soldier early in the war in his uniform. The next picture she has of him shows him in a hospital bed with bandages on his neck. So obviously that's after he was wounded in May 1940 by a gunshot wound to the neck. And what I suspect is that this soldier lost his helmet in southern Belgium or northern France when he was wounded in the neck, and that's how the helmet got lost. That's why we have this helmet that seems early war that was found by the collector. The daughter explained that Walter Katzorek, her father, got married in 1941. He was ended up being captured apparently by the British somewhere in Germany at the end of the war. And after the war he had multiple children. He served in the train police and then in a police school. Here you can see him with his family and his wife. His wife unfortunately died on Christmas Eve 1970. He got remarried again after a few years. And then, according to his daughter, he died in 1983 from complications of the lung injuries he had received during World War II. So even though he had been lucky to survive being wounded in action 3 times, apparently those wounds plagued him until the end of his life. So once again, finding an abandoned item of equipment on the battlefield enables us to discover the fate of one of the millions of soldiers who lived through World War II. And if you need any help for this sort of research, feel free to contact me at this email address. Have a nice day and bye-bye.